can't find nothing on the radio.
You ready, Steve?
Welcome to Songology. He's Bruce.
He's Richard.
And this is another episode from our Song of the Day archives.
Enjoy.
Welcome back, Bruce. It's Monday. What's on tap for today? We did get some foreshadowing on Friday, by the way.
Well, yes, for the foreshadowing on Friday was Joe Jackson with Be My Number 2. Now, do you know why I gave you that one?
Haven't a clue.
Well, really, one of the big sort of prizes, so to speak, the big apple, the big ring, the thing that everybody wants, it seems, in the music business, is to score a number one record.
All right.
And in particular, a number one on the Billboard Hot 100 chart system.
Yep.
Billboard magazine in the States has been publishing music charts since, I believe, the 30s. In the early days, they had 4 or 5 different charts that tracked different things, airplay and sales and other things, whatever they might be. And it was sometime in the late 1950s that they combined a bunch of their figures and created what they have since called the Hot 100. Now, they still have the various other sub-charts, so they have for different genres of music and so forth. But overall, the big chart is the Hot 100.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a big thing to have the number one song. Well, there are quite a number of very famous artists who have spent many, many weeks on the charts, many weeks in the top 40, which was always the traditional. I don't know why it is that it was 40 as opposed to 50 or 60. I sort of came to the conclusion that maybe that had something to do with the length of time that radio stations used to use before they would play about 40 songs and then play the same 40 songs again.
Well, I'm sort of thinking top 40 might be, you can do a top 40 show in 2 hours.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours worth of music, and then you gotta roll it over, so.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, see?
Yep.
So you taught me something. But many people, they've had all of these different hits, lots of top 40 hits, but what I'm focusing on is artists who have had multiple trips into the top 10, but have never got number one. And to start would be none other than Bruce Springsteen.
He's never been number one.
Never been number one. He has had a dozen top 10 hits, a number of other lesser charting songs. Actually, I'm given to understand 7 of the 12 tracks from Born in the USA, his album, charted, and 7 of them got into the top 10, but none of them got number one.
Always
Never
the
got
bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, exactly. Notice I didn't say the boss, Bruce Springsteen. That's the nickname, but apparently he hates that.
Oh, okay.
He got the nickname in the early 70s amongst his fellow musicians in Asbury Park, New Jersey, where he's from. It was more because he was such an overwhelming presence in performance than anything else. Anyway, I can tell you that Springsteen has never had a job other than recording and playing music.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
the
you
only
hear of
thing.
everybody else. We had our theater fellow last week.
Oh, yeah, George Michael was a movie theater usher.
We've had cab drivers and waiters.
Yeah, Howard Jones worked in a plastic factory or something like that. I can't remember exactly where. But yeah, they've do various things. But no, Springsteen had never done anything other than make his living playing music. He was actually drafted. He was drafted, called up to serve in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And went into the draft board, the office there. But they discovered when they did the physical examination, he'd had a pretty serious concussion in a motorbike accident when he was 17.
Right.
And it disqualified him from service.
Oh.
So that was it. You're not going into the Army.
Yeah.
And Springsteen actually, when he started out as a musician, he really, in every band that he was ever associated with, he desperately wanted to sing.
Yep.
And he, by his own admission, is not the best singer. And so what he said it caused him to do is it caused him to really focus on his songwriting, because he thought, okay, well, the only thing I can bring to the table, because I really like to sing, but people don't like me to sing. The only thing I can bring to the table is new songs that I know because I wrote them.
Right.
But I better have something worthwhile to say so that people would be interested. And so that, he thinks, really contributed to his skill as a songwriter. He controls all of his own publishing very strictly, doesn't allow any of his music to be used in commercials.
Yeah.
And gets really quite cranky if anybody tries. There was a thing where Ronald Reagan was using Born in the USA for some political rallies and things during one of the American elections. And Springsteen contacted Reagan quite angrily and told him to stop because he didn't want his music being identified with any political party in particular, but wasn't really fond of Reagan anyway, which was kind of ironic later because they ended up being neighbors in California. In the 90s. They were like literally next door to each other. So might have made for some interesting neighborhood barbecues, I suppose. Eh?
Yeah.
So anyway, the song that I'm going to give you is from Born in the USA, and it's Dancing in the Dark, which was #2 hit for Bruce back in the 80s. Very big. 1984, I believe, this was a hit for him. When he went into the studio to record the Born in the USA album, he had about 70 different songs that he'd written, and they were trimming down, okay, what are we actually going to put on the album? And his manager kept after him. You got to have a hit. You got to have a hit. These are great songs, but I don't hear anything that's radio friendly. You got to have a hit. And so after various sessions of his manager nagging at him, Springsteen went home and wrote. He expressed basically all of his frustration at his manager nagging at him for what to do and the fact that he hadn't had the big hit. He poured all of that into a song, which was Dancing in the Dark. It's funny, both Dancing in the Dark and Born in the USA off the same record. They're both dark songs in a way, because Dancing in the Dark is a lot about depression and loneliness and frustration. And Born in the USA, much the same, a very dark piece about Vietnam War and that sort of period in American history. But because they're both catchy tunes, and particularly Dancing in the Dark has a great little beat to it, many listeners didn't really get the message at all because they thought it was just sort of an upbeat, happy little tune.
Yeah, that's your impression of them right away, so.
Yeah, but if you listen to the lyrics, no, it's actually kind of a darker little piece. However, notwithstanding that, was Single of the Year, according to Rolling Stone readers in 1985, got Springsteen his first Grammy, and had a very distinctive music video. It was one of Springsteen's first music videos. It looks like a concert. It's actually not, because it was staged. The whole thing was really quite contrived. Toward the end of the song, he sort of hollers, "Hey, baby," and pulls a girl out of the audience and dances with her on the stage.
Well, if we find that video on YouTube, we'll post it on our Facebook page, a link to it.
And for those who are interested, and go have a look at it, one of the keys that tells you that the whole thing is contrived and not an actual performance is the fact that the young lady who gets pulled up onto the stage to dance with Springsteen is none other than Courtney Cox, who goes on to star in this TV sitcom Friends and various other things. But yes, a very young Courtney Cox is the girl that he dances in, Dancing in the Dark. That video was actually directed by Brian De Palma, the famous film director, who was hired after Springsteen got cranky. The first guy who was hired to do the video for Dancing in the Dark was named Jeff Stein, and he brought in a director of photography called Daniel Pearl. Pearl had done the Police's video, Every Breath You Take, which was all black and white.
Yeah.
And had a lot of really striking imagery. And the idea was that most of the video was going to be actually Springsteen literally dancing in the dark, right? Yeah. So Springsteen and Pearl get into this big argument about how Springsteen is going to be filmed. Springsteen wants a filter. Pearl says, no, hard lighting. Has to be hard lighting. Springsteen gets so mad, after a few takes, he just walks out and leaves. Nope, that's it. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
However, to his credit, a few years later, they run into one another, and Springsteen immediately came up to him and apologized to him for the whole mess around Dancing in the Dark. And he said, when I thought about it much later, I realized that you were right and I was totally wrong.
Oh, very nice.
So I thought, hey, is that classy from him to go and apologize? He's quite the guy, Springsteen. In terms of his power as a performer live, you're not going to find anybody who is stronger on stage than him. So anyway, let's quit talking about him and listen to him do a little Dancing in the Dark.
As usual, I have to stop it right there while we work out the fair use rules on YouTube. This is our first week of Be My Number 2. Artists or bands never made it to the #1 spot on the Hot 100 list. As usual, please subscribe if you haven't already done so. You can visit us on Facebook or our website, Songology.ca. Now here's your chance to listen to the music or go on to the next episode.